Hey guys, we're going to do a review for your Chapter 12 progress quiz. These are the things you ought to know. Okay, polygons, reviewing how many sides they have and what we call them. So as you look at this, let's look at this first object here on the left. How many sides does it have? Sides, we're talking here. 1, 2, 3. It has 3 sides. Here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Here has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now that we know their sides, we want to name them. The first one with 3 sides we call what? A triangle. The next one with 4 sides we call a quadrilateral. 5 sides we call a pentagon. 6 sides we call what? Hexagon. And 8 sides we call what? Octagon. You can think about an octopus having 8 legs, an octagon has 8 sides. So that's something you should know, is what these shapes look like, how many sides they have, and what their names are. If you don't know that, spend some time with this slide and study it before you take your quiz. All right, classifying triangles. We had a couple ways to do this. We could do it by the sides and by the angles. So we're going to start doing it by the sides. This first triangle on the left has 2 sides that look the same length and 1 side that is different. So what do we call that? It's either scalene, right, or isosceles. 2 sides the same is isosceles. This one in the middle, all 3 sides are congruent or the same. What do we call that? It's equilateral. And the last one, all the sides are different lengths, so we call that scalene. You should know those. Again, if you don't know them yet, spend some time with this slide studying before you take the quiz. Okay, now classifying by the angles. We have acute angles, which are smaller than 90 degrees, right angles, which equal 90 degrees, and obtuse angles, which are larger than 90 degrees. In this first triangle on the right, all of the angles are smaller than 90 degrees, so we call it what? An acute triangle. Here in the middle, these 2 angles are acute, but this one here I see it as a square. It's 90 degrees, so this is a right triangle. And last, this one angle right here on this is larger than 90 degrees, making this an obtuse triangle. Okay, we're going to do some classifying of quadrilaterals. You really need to know this graphic here. You need to know what a parallelogram is and what makes it a parallelogram, that it has 2 pairs of parallel sides. You need to know a rhombus has 2 pairs of parallel sides and all 4 sides equal. You need to know that a rectangle has 2 pairs of parallel sides but also has 4 right angles. And you need to know that a square has all of those, 2 pairs of parallel sides with all 4 sides equal and 4 right angles. Also, don't forget that a trapezoid is also a quadrilateral, but it's not a type of parallelogram, but it has 1 pair of parallel sides. So you need to remember those things. The more you know this, the easier these next slides will be. So make sure you spend some time with this, getting to know it and studying it if you haven't yet. All right, coming up, here we go. What is this shape called? I'm looking at it. I notice that all of the sides are equal. It has 2 sets of parallel sides. So 2 sets of parallel sides, it could be a parallelogram, but also all 4 sides are equal, so it's a rhombus. It's not a square because it doesn't have 4 right angles. We'll go back and look at it. These angles are not right angles. So we call it a rhombus. Is it also a parallelogram? Let's look at the clubs again. Is a rhombus a parallelogram? Yes, the rhombus is in the parallelogram club. So yes, a rhombus is also a parallelogram. Is it also a rectangle? Well, looking back at that slide before, we saw that a rectangle had 4 right angles. This does not have 4 right angles, so no, it's not a rectangle. All right, you're also going to come across some questions that don't show you a picture, but they just ask you about it. Again, that graphic, you want to get to know it because it helps you answer these questions. True or false? Every parallelogram is a rectangle. Answer for yourself, true or false. That's false. Not every parallelogram is a rectangle. Rectangles have to have 4 right angles, and we saw parallelograms and rhombuses that didn't have right angles, so not all parallelograms are rectangles. Every square is a parallelogram. Answer that for yourself. Pause the video if you need some time to think about it. Every square is a parallelogram. That's true. The square is in the parallelogram club, so every square is considered a parallelogram as well. Every rectangle with 4 congruent sides is a square. If you need some time to think about it, pause. I'm thinking about this and I think, okay, rectangles with 4 congruent sides. That would be a square because that's how we define a square, is a rectangle, a parallelogram with 4 right angles that also has 4 congruent sides, so that's true. All right, we also went over 3D objects in this. Which of these 3D objects is a cube? Take a look and see what you think. There it is. Which of these 3D objects is a rectangular prism? There it is. And we didn't go over these too much, but by process of elimination with the ones we did go over, which of these is a cylinder? That one's a cylinder. A cylinder is not not created from polygons. It's created from a circle here, and then it's 3D through the tube there, but it's a 3D object that we sometimes come across. Which leaves this last object, what kind of prism is that? With these triangle faces, I remember that it's a triangular prism. You should know the names for these objects. Okay, faces, edges, and vertices. Remember, an edge on a 3D object is from corner to corner what would be like the fold in a box. Those are the edges. The faces are the big flat sides of the 3D object, and the vertices are the points where the edges meet, or the corners. So let's look at the edges of this triangular prism. How many edges are there? Count them. Don't forget the ones that appear hidden in the back. This picture shows you them, but remember, sometimes we don't see them in the picture. It has 9 edges. 1 at the top, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, how many faces, flat sides, does it have? It has 5. The 2 triangular faces, the base, and the 2 sides, rectangles on the sides. And how many vertices? It has 6 vertices, these corners here. You should know how to identify these things for the quiz. All right, that is the end of our review. Those are the things you should know. If there were any slides where you were a little confused or you just didn't know at first, spend some time with that slide, get to know those things or remember those things, and then you should do great on your quiz. You have 2 attempts on your quiz, so make sure you take your time on it. It'll do a quick retake, so it'll just have you do any that you got wrong. It does go into your test grade for your grade, so make sure you take your time to study for it and that you're ready when you take it. Good luck, guys. Email me if you have any questions before you take it.